Hey, welcome back, everybody. So speaking of political parties, the president has a little bit of a problem with his own. This legislation that I picked up on last week that's being debated and talked about in the Senate was proposed by the Democratic leadership. It's got Republican support, and I think even John Cornyn came out and said this should be a unanimous vote. This should be like just a consent vote of the Senate, this bill to allow family members of 9/11 to get to sue the nation of Saudi Arabia in federal court here in this country for damages if it is shown that any member of the government of Saudi Arabia, or the royal family, I guess is what you would say, had anything to do or was complicit in the terrorist attacks in New York City on September 11th, 2001. As you would probably expect, the Obama administration has come out pretty hard against this, saying this is not a very good idea. You can't throw one of our allies under the bus like this. This kind of thing isn't necessarily unprecedented, but right now, with the way the Middle East is, there are essentially three stable and functioning governments right now: Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. Because Jordan has problems. Yemen certainly is not in good shape. Everywhere else is kind of on fire, and it is weird. I mean, on the one hand, you understand where these senators are coming from. They've, especially Chuck Schumer in New York, he's got constituents that were affected by this directly that have been saying for years and years, and I think everybody kind of accepts that Saudi Arabia is where a lot of these guys came from. It's where a lot of them learned stuff, not necessarily from the government, but Osama bin Laden was from Saudi Arabia originally, and why haven't we done more against Saudi Arabia here? And the main reason, Doc, and I think you'll speak to this here in a second, they're a big ally. It's a shame that we don't have Rabbi Kaufman here to talk about the relationship between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia, but the short answer is they're a huge ally, and we need them in the region.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're essentially a bulwark against extremism. The problem is when you start talking about state-sponsored terrorism, Saudi Arabia, I don't know, they could have supported these people. There's a lot of conspiracy theories that they did, but the bottom line is these people just happen to be from Saudi Arabia, right? They could have been from anywhere, because unlike the rest of the world, America says, well, hey, being a citizen of our country means something. These people switch national identities all the time. It happens in Europe. It happens in Malaysia, or not Malaysia, but in Southeast Asia. It happens across Africa. People move in, they meet a requirement, and then there you go. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that they were sponsoring state terrorism. Second thing is, when you start looking at who a terrorist is, and I know my brother Joe and my dad, hey, Dad, I hope you get to feeling better. My brother Joe and my dad, I'm glad they're not going to be here next time when I say this, because they punch me straight in the face. The bottom line is terrorism is relative, right? Or were we terrorists to go into Afghanistan? I don't believe so, but I bet you that those people that Obama is droning is looking at us as terrorists. Mm-hmm. And all right, so now what do you do? Do you get a world court together? I don't want a world court. I don't know. That's the last thing I want. So you're going to allow American citizens to sue Saudi Arabia in American courts with basically a judgment that's not ever going to be binding or collectible. All that does is throw a wrench in whatever minimal foreign policy things that Obama has done. We need Saudi Arabia. Whether we like them or not is completely irrelevant. They're our ally. And the last thing we need is to continue to force them into Russia's arms, because we all know between us and the Russians, we're far more benign than they are. All right. I don't care. I mean, we can argue about Iraq, Afghanistan, and the rest of it, but the Russians don't care. And we do. We have a sense of decency that they simply don't possess.
Well,
as far as the government,
it seems really weird to me how you would have a bunch of Democratic senators in the last year of their president's 2 terms in office get together, the same guys that came out so hard against the Republicans saying with the Iran deal, hey, you guys are almost traitors for trying to undermine the president. This deal is too important. Then to go stick it in the eye and say if you reimpose or if you reintroduce sanctions, it's going to be a huge problem. Then go stick it in the eye of our actual ally. We're not allies with Iran. I think that the administration has made a lot of progress in trying to normalize Iran and bring them back into the international community. We'll see. Time will tell. It seems to be going okay so far. Time will tell if it gets any better or if it all blows up in somebody's face. But Saudi Arabia has been there. They haven't done as much as they should. I think that we'd agree they haven't done as much as they could, but they've certainly done more than anybody else has done aside from Israel to help keep that area of the world stable. And it's kind of why they would do it now is a mystery, when our relations with Saudi Arabia, because of the Iran deal and because of our sort of non-intervention with their proxy war in Yemen, has made them a little bit crabby with us.
Well, yeah. Well, the other thing is, and this is, I'm just going to point this out. This is going to be, I'm just saying right up front, it's going to be a stick in the eye of Lefty over here. Liberals hate America. This would be the next logical step. Hey, let's do something that's going to damage us further. That's the only logical explanation, right? Now, for the Republicans to jump in on it, I'm like, hold on. Then I get back to our establishments. I believe this is a failure of leadership on both sides. Why alienate from either side? From either side. Because Schumer's a leader, Cornyne's a leader. Mm-hmm. Why do this to Saudi Arabia, especially now when the Middle East has been in the worst, categorically the worst state it has been easily since World War II.
Well, so hold on a second. If the only logical explanation you can see is liberals hate America, you should get your prescription checked. But
but you see, we get back to that smarmy stuff. You're smug. Liberals hate America. This is another example.
Sure, but it's certainly you have a Democratic administration saying this is a horrible idea. So
it is. It's a terrible idea, and I don't like our Republicans supporting it. It's incredible.
You have a Republican saying it should be a voice vote. I don't know. Yeah. This seems like a lot more of an important thing. Maybe it's just symbolic. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it's the tail wagging the dog, whatever. We do have an update. Trump is projected to win Rhode Island, and Sanders is projected to win Rhode Island. So that means essentially Trump has won 4 of the 5 at this point. I would call that a sweep on today. And if Cruz and Kasich are still in it, they just need to get out of the way. The Republican Party is splintering bad enough. You guys have had your shot. Cruz has done a lot of underhanded things to get to this far. Bravo to you. But it's now time to, pony up and be a team player if you can. We'll be back right after this break. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We couldn't do what we do without you.